next surah is Surah Al-Jumu'ah. And the last few verses of this surah talks about the gathering on Friday, the prayer, the Jumu'ah prayer. And it talks about how people, at one time a caravan came containing some goods, and people went out looking for business transaction, and they left the Messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is one of the first times that the Sahaba, they were not aware of the Jumu'ah and its condition. It's not that the Sahaba would get up and leave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was just not that it wasn't clear to them, and the ayat came down, and then the Sahaba understood. Again, one has to understand that all of the commands did not come at once. The Sahaba, they made mistakes. Some of the Sahaba, they kept on making mistakes. They were not angels. They were not perfect. Nobody is perfect, and nobody has ever been perfect. If there was a person who could be named, identified as a perfect individual, it would have been the Prophet ﷺ. But the Sahaba made mistake, and they made tawbah. The same thing. And this is the idea of being a Muslim. So they made a mistake, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He reminded them, this is not the way to behave with your prayers. The next surah is Al-Munafiqun. It talks about the hypocrites and how they think they're very what's the word? They're very sly. They're very clever. Great job. Clever answer. They're very clever, but they're not clever with Allah and His Messenger. And the Muslims are told, because munafiqeen, what they used to do is, they used to be hypocrites who would say, oh, you go out and you fight. We're not, they come up with excuses. And the Muslims, they're feeling, oh, we're such good believers. And the Prophet ﷺ is giving them excuses to stay after, to stay behind and not to go in a war, not to sacrifice anything. How come? I mean, look at these people. Just like our children, sometimes they say, oh, we have to fast and all the non-Muslims don't have to fast, or we have to pray 5 times a day, I have to wake up for Fajr. But you're promised Jannah and the others are not. Right? So this is what the Prophet ﷺ is told, that don't think that a munafiqun is going to get something in the hereafter. The next one is at-taghabun, and which means mutual loss or gain. Ghaban, that's the word that it comes from. Also a Madani surah that continues on to the next surah, At-Talaq, which means divorce. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ. These are the principles. Whoever is conscious of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make a way from the difficulty for this individual. Whether you're male or female or child or adult, you have to have this fear, this taqwa of Allah, this conscious that Allah is the one who's going to get me out of it. And whoever relies upon Allah, Allah is going to provide for this individual. It's not you or me. Ask Allah, He's going to get away for you, inshallah. So these are the principles that are being told. At-Tahrim, it talks about the prohibition. Interesting story about the family of the Prophet ﷺ. I would invite you to read into it. Many times people think that we're only going through family struggle. The Prophet ﷺ also went through with a lot of the tests that came through his family, his wives. And one has to recognize, if you read the Quran, seriously, if you read the Quran, you'll find that all of the families that are mentioned in there, even of the prophets, they went through a lot of struggle with their families. Read Surah Yusuf, right? The brothers, what they did, right? Read the story of Musa alayhi salam, right? How Harun, or he had difficulty with him. He grabs him from his beard, right? There's an infighting, there's a quarrel. The reasons might be different things, but there was something going on within. There's a conflict within the family. But at the end of it, one has to recognize that this is normal. Don't expect your families to be perfect in a sense where, oh, I wish so-and-so was like a sahabiyah, or so-and-so, my husband was like a sahabi reading. They were not perfect, and we're not perfect. So we have to, instead of putting people up there, we have to be realistic. Not idealistic, realistic. So, inshallah, this is what Quran is teaching us, that many people, they go through trouble. But what you have to do is you have to pass that examination period that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us. So with that, inshallah, we're reminding each other about the Quran, about